Welcome everyone as we learn Chok Yisrael for Parshas Mishpotim, and today we learn Yom Beis, Yom Sheni, day 2. V'chi yimkor ish es bitoi la'ama, when a man sells his young daughter as a maidservant, lo tzeitze ketzeitzo avodim. She doesn't go free like an Eved Kanani goes free. That means that if the master knocks out her eye or her tooth, she doesn't go free. V'arei yizabein gvar yasbratei la'amhu lo yisipoi kemafkonis avodin. And Rashi explains, V'chiyim karishes bitoi la'ama biktana akosim edam. This is talking about a young maiden under the age of 12 years and 1 day. Yochel afilu heviyah simonim. I might think you could sell her even after puberty. Amarta kal v'chaymer. Oma mechura kaidem l'chein. If she was sold before puberty, yoytze b'simonim, she goes free when she reaches puberty. K'maishe chasev. Yotze chinam ein chasef. She goes out free without having to give the master any money. Shanu darshan ma'isayla simani nairis, that she goes free. If she shows puberty, she'ena mechura, if she wasn't sold yet, ein adin shalei simacher, after puberty, you surely can't sell her. If she goes free by puberty, you surely can't sell her after puberty. So then what does it mean, like tzeitze ketzeitzo avodim? She doesn't go free like slaves. Ki yetzias avodim kananim. She doesn't go free like an Eved Kanani. She yoytze m'shem v'ayin. That goes free if you knock out a tooth or an eye. But an amaria like teitze b'shem v'ayin. She doesn't go free if you knock out a tooth or eye. Ela oved sheish. Either she works 6 years, or at a yovel, or until the jubilee comes, or at shetavi simonim, or until puberty. Whichever one she reaches first, she goes free. If she reaches puberty, she goes free. If Yavel comes, she goes free, or if 6 years comes. If you knock out her eye or you knock out her teeth, you have to pay for the eye or the tooth. Maybe when it says it means that she doesn't go free in 6 years or at Yovel. The Torah says in Devarim, if there is sold to you a brother or a sister of Jewish origin, Makish ivriya ivri lekol yitziyaisa. This juxtaposes the girl to the male counterpart for all the freedoms. Ma ivri yaitze b'sheish b'yayvel, just like a ivri goes out after 6 years in yayvel. Af ivriya and am ivriya also yaitze b'sheish b'yayvel. What does it mean that she doesn't go free like avodim? That means she doesn't go out. If you knock off one of the tips of the limbs, she doesn't go free like an Eved Kanani goes free. I might think, though a male Jewish slave goes free if you knock out a tooth and an eye, we use the same juxtaposition. The male Jew or the female, makish ivri livriya, ma'avriya, just like the Jewish girl, she doesn't go out when you knock out an eye or a tooth. Afu, so also the male Jewish slave, doesn't go out. Rather, you have to pay for the tooth or the eye, and it stays in servitude. The pasuk continues, Imra be'enei adoineha. If she is evil, displeasing in the eye of her master, ashalo ya'ada, he doesn't take her as a husband. One of the ideas of an amavriya is that he has an option to take her as his wife, and the payment that he gave for her serves as the kesef kedushin. He doesn't have to give any more payment. If he doesn't choose to marry her, she is displeasing in his eyes, and he doesn't choose to exercise the option to marry her, vehefta, he should make it easy for her to be redeemed. Meaning, if let's say she worked already 2 of the 6 years, then when he asked payment for her, he should deduct 1/3 of what she already worked. So he should help her to be redeemed. La'am nochri lo yimsho l'machra, he should not sell her to anyone else, bivigdoiba, because he already dealt treacherously with her, not wanting to marry her. The father, likewise, if she comes back to him, he can't sell her again once he already did treacherously and sold her once. In Bisha Beine Ribone de Kaimele, Viafrikina, Legvar Acharan Lesle Rishula Zavna, Bemishla Ba, says Rashi, she didn't find favor in his eyes for him to marry her. He didn't exercise the option of Yid. He should have taken her under his wing and marry her. The kesef kniyasa, the money you paid for, who kesef kiddusha. And here is where the Torah hints mitzvah biyud, that it would be a mitzvah for him to marry her. He doesn't have to give her other kiddushin. The original money that he paid for her suffices as the kiddushin. Then vehefta, he should make it easy for her to be redeemed and returned to her father. Yitin la makam li padois v'leitzes. He should make it attainable that she should be redeemed and go free. He helps in the redemption. How does he help? He deducts from the price the amount of years that she worked by him, as if she was a hired worker. If, let's say, he bought her for the 6 years for a mana, and she already worked 2 years, you know that she's going to go free 6 years. That means she already worked a third of her tenure. You acquire her work a sixth of a mana every year. She already worked for you 2 years, so that's already a third of the work. So tell shnei shlishas hamana v'teitzei me'etzlecha. Accept now from the father 2/3 of a mana and let her go free. In other words, deduct the third for the fact that she worked 2 years, a third of the time. La'am nachri, to a foreign nation, lo yimshol l'machra. To a foreign nation, you shouldn't sell her. She'ena rashin l'machra l'achar. This means that if he doesn't want to be miyayid her, he can't sell it to someone else. Loi ha'adon v'loi ha'av. Not the master, or if she goes back home after 6 years, or after Yovel, or because she was redeemed, the father can't sell her to another. Bevigda ba, because they dealt treacherously. In ba livgaid ba, if he comes to do treachery, shaloi l'kayim ba mitzvahs yibon, if he did treachery because he didn't do yiyud, so he cannot go and sell it to someone else. And likewise her father, after he was treacherous and sold her once, he shouldn't sell her again. Now, another thing that he could do is marry her off to the son. That's also part of the mitzvah. V'im livno yiyadena, if he assigns her as a wife to his son, kemishpat habanaysi asala. The son has to give her all the laws of a regular wife. That means shereksusa vaynasa lo yigra. He shouldn't deprive her of her food, her clothing, and her marital intimacy. V'im livno says the Targum, v'im livrei yikamina kilchas b'nas Yisrael yavidla. Says Rashi, v'im livno yadena ha'odain, the master malami she'apanoi come tachtov liyade im yirtzaviv. The son could take the place of the father if the father so desires to give her to his son. Ve'ein etzach l'kacha kedushin acher, and again, no other kedushin has to be offered by the son. El oimala hariatmi, you let this be bekesef shekibel avicha b'damecha. I am becoming your husband, and you are miyuedis to me, like mikudeshes to me, with the money that my father got when with the money that your father got, the girl's father got, when my father bought you. And that serves as the Kesef Kedushin, because remember, to a Ketana, the Kedushin would go to the father. And this purchase money that he paid would be tantamount to the Kedushin for the marriage to the son. Kemishpat Abonis, Sher Ksus V'Aina, the Mazonis, the clothing and marital intimacy. Im Acheres Yikach Loi, if the son takes another wife, then he can't treat the Amma of Riyah shabbily. He has to give her the same rights as a wife. Sheira Ksusa V'Ainasa, her Mazonis, clothing and marital intimacy, Lo Yigra. He should not do less than what is expected to a wife. If he takes another wife besides her, from the maidservant who was assigned to him, Sheira is Mazonis, Ksusa is Kamishmo, clothing, and Ainasa is Tashmish. Now, if you remember, the Navi is berating Klal Yisrael. They did not free their slave men and slave women, Ivriim, after 6 years. And they were told this by the Navi, and they released the slaves. However, after a while, they couldn't contain themselves, and they took them back. And they broke the law of freeing slaves. And now Yirmiyah tells them what will be their punishment from taking back Jewish people and enslaving them against the law. Mikate Sheva Shanim, it's supposed to be after 6 years, in the 7th year, to Shalchu Ishes Achiv Ivri, a man is supposed to send away his brother, the Ivri, Asher Yimacher Lecha, which was sold to you. V'avotcha shei shanim, he's only supposed to work 6 years. V'shilachta chavshi meimach, and in the 7th year you're supposed to send them free. V'lo yishamu avriseichem elai, your fathers did not listen to me. V'lo hitu es oznam, they did not tilt their ears to hear the command. V'teshuvu atem hayom, however, although your fathers didn't do it, you repented, v'tasu es hayosher be'enai, and you did what was correct in my eyes, likror drar, to announce freedom, ish l're'eu, every man to his Jewish brother, v'tichrasu bris l'fanai babayis, and you made a covenant before me in the temple, asher nikra shmi alav, to free all the slaves. However, you couldn't contain your greed. V'tashuvu, you went back on this. V'tachalu eshmi, you desecrated my name. V'tashivu ishes avdoi v'ishes shifchas, you took back your slave and your maidservant. Asher shilachtem chofshim lenafsham, after you sent them free. V'tichpashu oisam, and you forced them back into slavery. Liyos lachem la'avodim l'shvachas, to be servants and maidservants. L'chein, therefore, koyamar Hashem atem, so said Hashem, atem lo shematem elai, you didn't listen to me, likra drar, to declare freedom, ish la'achiv, v'ish l're'eu, every man to his brother, every man to his friend. Hineni mida keneged mida, behold, kairei lachem drar, I will free you from inhibitions, Noam Hashem el acherv, I will make you free to the enemy's sword, el adever, to damaging plague, ve'el arav, and to famine, v'nasati eschem lezava, I will make you to be terrorized, l'chol mam l'chayis haaretz, in front of all the empires of the land. I will free you, I will not protect you anymore, you'll become free bait to all of the empires of the land, and you will be terrified from them. And now Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei, Leiv Adam Yechashev Darkei, the heart of a man should plan his way to do what is righteous, and when that happens, Vashem Yochin Tzadai, then Hashem will set his footsteps in the right direction. As Rashi says, if you plan to do what is right, then Hashem will help you achieve your goal, because abolitar Messiah life. Somebody wants to do good, Hashem helps him. So if somebody wants to get up early in time for davening, Hashem will help him. If somebody decides that he wants to have kavanah in davening, Hashem will help him. If somebody decides that he doesn't want to yell at home, Hashem will help him. Kesem al sifsei melech. Melech over here, man malkei rabbonim. Here we're referring to dayanim. Kesem is like the divination of a soothsayer. Kesem, there will be words of wisdom on the lips of the dayanim. B'mishpat, in judgment, lo yimal piv. His mouth will not say trespass. In other words, a judge, a dayan, who has done din emes lamitai, Hashem will protect him that his mouth should not err. Peles, weights, umoizne mishpat laHashem. Weights and a scale of judgment, of justice, there is to Hashem. In other words, Hashem has weights and a scale where he weighs the behavior of man to reward a man according to his behavior. So if a person acts with charity, then Hashem will be charitable to him. If a person acts with greed, then Hashem will act with him accordingly. And the pasuk says, "Ma'aseyu," Hashem's actions are kol avnei kis, are like all the weights in the pouch that holds protectively the different size weights. So Hashem has many different sizes of weights, and according to the purity of a person's actions, he will be rewarded. So if a person davens, but he doesn't put much thought into his davening, and he rushes through his davening, he doesn't have a clean body during his davening, then there'll be a very small weight. If a person davens slowly, with thought, and with sincerity, there'll be a big weight. Toyavas melochim asois resha. It's an abomination of the judge to do wickedness. The judge is very careful to do everything above board. Kibet staka, because with righteousness, yikain kisei, is Hashem's throne established. The throne of Mishpat, the throne of law. Now, today's adventure is the 18th perek of Masechta Shabbos. Now, we know on Shabbos, you're not allowed to do a tircha yisera. You're not allowed to do excessive work on Shabbos. However, there are exceptions if you want to clear an area to have guests and be mekayim the mitzvah of achnasas archim, or there's not enough room in the Beis Medrash, so you have to clear an area so people should be able to learn. So then, mifanin afilu arba v'chamesh kupay shel teven b'shel tvua, you could clear away even 4 or 5 huge boxes of straw or of grain, mipnei ha'orchim, in order to have room for guests, and mipnei bittul beis medrash, or for a place where students could learn. But you can't clear to the ground a storage area, because if you clear it all the way to the ground and you reveal the ground underneath, it might be unlevel, and if you level the ground, you'll be over the Issa D'Oraisa of binyan, of building. Mefanin, now, when you clear it away, it has to be something that's not muksa. So mefanin truma ta'ira, you could clear away truma ta'ira because it's permitted to kayin to eat, udamai. You could clear away that which was brought from an amaretz, even if you didn't take off meiser from it again, because the demai can be eaten by the poor, even if it's not tithed. Or meiser rishon shenit l'trumasa, you could clear away meiser rishon that the truma was removed from it. Now you'll say, well, if the truma was removed from it, the truma's meiser, what's the chiddush? But here we're talking about where Chatzkel takes crops from Ruvain's field, and Ruvain had never taken the Truma Gedalah, but he took it while it was still in the stalks, before it was chayiv in the Truma Kedayla. Now, when Chatzkel takes off the Meiser Rishon, all he has to take off is the Trumas Meiser. He doesn't have to take off the Truma Gedayla, and it's still not Muksa, because he preempted the Truma Gedayla because he took it before it was Chayiv. Or Meiser Sheni v'Hektish Sheniptu, if it's Meiser Sheni or Hektish that was redeemed, even though he redeemed his own Meiser Sheni and Hektish and he didn't add a fifth, which he's supposed to, even so, it's not Muksa. Vaturmis ayavish, or dry lupines. Now, dry lupines are very bitter, but they're not muksim because they're food for the poor. You can't take untied produce, even if it's from an otzitz sheina nokiv, even if it's from a not perforated flower pot. So it's only d'rabbanan. So this means that if meiser rishon you took off the trumas meiser, but this was Meiser Rishon that you took from the owner before he took the Truma Gedayla, but you took it after it was already put in a pile. So it already became Chayiv in the Truma Gedayla. Then, if you only took Trumas Meiser and you didn't take the Truma Gedayla, it's Muksa. Now, this doesn't mean you didn't redeem it at all. That's obvious that it's Muksa. It's talking about Meiser Sheni redeemed, but you redeemed it on a piece of bullion without it wasn't something money that was minted. And you have to redeem it with money that's minted because it says, it has to be money that has a tzura. And hektish shalei niptu, you did redeem it, but you redeemed it on real estate. And hektish you can't redeem on real estate. V'leis haluf, luf is a type of onion that wasn't edible. V'lei achardel, or mustard seeds, which are not edible, therefore they're muksa. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Matir permits this type of onion. It's food for ravens, and since wealthy people kept ravens, it could be used for food for ravens, and therefore it's not muksa. Chavile kash v'chavile eitzim v'chavile zradim. If you want to move out of the way bundles of stubble or straw, v'chavile eitzim, bundles of twigs, v'chavile zradim, or bundles of shoots. Now, usually this is used for fuel, which would be muksa on Shabbos. Im is skin on l'machal behema. If you already designate them for animal food, then metalton loisan, then they're not muksa. Vimla, but if not, since they're oimid for fuel, then a metalton loisan. Kaifen es hasal lifnei ha'efroichim. You could turn over a basket so that young chickens could climb up and go down. Now, even though the chicken is muksa, and you're not allowed to be mevatel a keli me'echonai, you're not allowed to make a keli that it shouldn't be used anymore because muksa is on it, because then it's like you're cementing it to the ground. But here, since they don't stay on it very long, so it's not considered mevatel keli me'echonai, and it's allowed. Tarnagola sheborcha, a chicken that fled, and now it's in danger, it's going to get lost. So, you could push it back with your hands, until you bring it back into the yard. But you can't pick it up, because by picking it up, you can't grab it, because then you're carrying it, and it would be a problem. You could grab a hold of the young calves and young donkeys in the Rishus Harabim to lead them back to safety. And Isha Medada Espina, a woman could grasp a child. Amr Yehuda, what kind of a child? When he puts 1 foot up and 1 foot down, he knows how to take steps. But if he's schlepping, then you're not allowed to schlep the child, because that's considered usher, because that's considered schlepping the child in the Rishus Harabim. We can't deliver an animal on Yom Tov. That's considered a tirchi yisera. But we could assist it to be born. Of course, we could deliver a woman on Shabbos. And we could summon a midwife from one place to another, even if she has to come from outside the Tchum, even if she has to travel in a forbidden way. And we could desecrate the Shabbos for a woman to give birth in any way that's necessary. V'koishrin es hatabar, and we tie the umbilical cord, because if it's too long, then it could schlep out the intestines. Rabbi Yossi says, don't tie it, it's still dangerous. You could even cut it. Af koitchen. The kol tzorchei mila oisim b'Shabbos. And all the needs of mila, of bismana, on the 8th day, supersede the Shabbos, which is going to be the subject matter of the next parak. And now we learn the Gemara from Shabbos Daf Kuf Chof Zayin. Now it's interesting. The Mishnah says we move the baskets to make way for guests or for the Beis Medrash. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Gedai lachnas esarchim kash kamas Beis Medrash. Having guests is like making room for people to learn. It puts them on the same level. Having guests that are in need of a place to stay is more than having people come and learn. Diktani, it says first for guests, and then for students. It's a famous drasha that having guests is greater than being with the Shechina. Avram said, remember Hashem came to visit him on the 3rd day of his Milah to be Mavakar Chayla, and Avram said, if it pleases Hashem in Hashem's eye, please don't leave. But I have to take care of the Arabs. So that means that he left the Rabbeinu Shalom to give do the mitzvah of achnas esarchim. The ways of Hashem is not like the ways of humans. The way of humans ain't cotton yochel loyma lagadol. A small person can't tell a big king, wait till I come to you. I'm putting you on hold. Avram said to Hashem, I'm putting you on hold. Wait till I come. Don't leave, but I have to put you on hold, so to speak. Shisha Dvarim, 6 lofty pursuits. People enjoy the dividends in this world, and the principal reward is stays for the next world. Hospitality, visiting the sick, having proper thought while davening, getting up early to learn Torah, raising children for Talmud Torah, and one who judges his friend favorably. So the Gemara says so many things. Does them, he gets their dividends in this world, honoring parents, kindness, making peace between a man and his friend. So only these 4, Hani in not anything else. The previous Brisa says a lot of other things. Says Gemara, well, Hani Nami Bahani Shaykhi. All the items in the first Brisa is included in the 4 in the latter Brisa. And Rashi explains how this works. Rashi says, Hani Bahani Shaykha, Shaykhim Klulim Bedvarm Sheniskuru B'Mishnah. They're included in these 4. Lefi Shachnosas Oychim Ubikir Chaylim, the hospitality and visiting the sick, came b'chlal gemilas chasadim. That's included in acts of kindness. Vashkamas Beis Medrash v'gidol banav l'Talmud Torah, and getting up early to go to learn, and raising your children to Talmud Torah, that obviously is included in Talmud Torah. V'adones chaveru l'kavschus, and when you judge someone favorably, b'klal avos shalom, because if you judge someone favorably, then you're not going to come to fight with them. Shematog shedones chaveru l'kavschus. The Rav Hashalom Beinam, that makes peace. What about Iyon Tefillah? What about davening with Kavana? The Cheinat Tefillah me'ein avos shalomi. That's considered making peace, because proper Tefillah makes peace between us and our Father in heaven. Shemivia Shalom be'Yisrael avim sheb'shamayim. Says the Gemara Vaita, Tan Rabbanan Adon Chaveru L'Kafschus, when you judge someone favorably, Don in Oisei L'Kafschus, then Hashem will judge you favorably. Now you'll say, how can Hashem judge you favorably? There's no suffix by Hashem. What does it mean that Hashem will judge you favorably? So there's a famous drasha of Reb Chaim Shmulevitz who says that when we do something, there are many shades of gray we do. We come to share because we like the coffee at the share. We come to share because we want to get out of doing chores in the house. We come to share because we like to schmooze with the people. And there's also a little bit that we want to learn Torah. So if we judge people favorably, then Hashem will look and zoom in on the purest reason of why we do things, even though we do it with many shades of gray, and He'll give us the best motivation as the main motivation. Tan Rabbanan, Ma'aseh b'chassid echad, there was an incident with a pious person, Shepoda Riva Achas Bas Yisrael. He redeemed a young maiden, V'lamaloin Hishkiva Tachas Margaloisav. And in the inn, he made sure to keep her sleep next to him. And then, suspiciously, Lamacher, the next day, Yarad V'tava V'shana L'talmidim. He went and immersed himself in a mikveh and taught his talmidim. Now, a person that has intimacy immerses himself in the mikveh, especially in the days of Tfilas Ezra. So Amalahen, he wanted to be above suspicion, so he said to them, when I kept her in my room, what did you suspect me of? So they said, we figured that maybe there's a Talmud whose morality was not known to the Rebbe, and therefore he wanted to keep an eye on her. When I went and immersed myself, what did you suspect me of? We said, maybe because the Rebbe came back from a hard trip, Ira Keri the Rebbe. The Rebbe had a nocturnal pollution, and that's why he went to the mikveh. By the temple, it's exactly the way you described it. And you, just like you judged me favorably, so Hashem should judge you favorably. Now, the Zohar that we're going to learn now is a continuation of the Zohar. I made a bracha already. It's a continuation of the Zohar from Yom Aleph. In the Zohar of Yom Aleph, it says that when you say Ke'almana, it means like, but not actually a widow. So, Amar Rebbe Abba, Zakon Inon Yisrael, fortunate are Klal Yisrael, the Kutcha Berichu Loi Karulan Kikaidish. He doesn't call us like that which is holy, Ela Kaidish Mamish. Hashem calls us that we're actually holy. The Chsiv Kaidish Yisrael Hashem. Kal Yisrael is actually holy. That's more than just being like holy. Or begin kach, and therefore kol oichlav yeshamu. Anyone that tries to consume and harass and persecute Jews will be held guilty. Tana, Amar Rabbi Yaisi. Rabbi Yaisi said, "My kocham kutch berichu." What did Hashem see? L'meyav dinan liYisrael baser eser amiran. How come He gave the laws of Mishpotim, of Jewish jurisprudence, right after the Ten Commandments? As the Bir HaZohar explains, the laws of Din were already given in Morah. I would think that after the Ten Commandments, the Torah would teach us something new. Why does it repeat the laws of Jewish jurisprudence? Elahachi Taninan. This is what we are taught. Misitra de Gevura is Yehivas Araisa Yisrael. The Torah was given to Klal Yisrael from the side of Gevura, of strict din. Like it says, Miyaminoi Eish Das Lamai. From his right, a fiery law to the people. That's strict din. Begina Kach, when there's din, when there's strict gvura, that causes machlokes. And therefore, begin kach, ba lemeisan shloma beinaya. Therefore, he has to give the rules of jurisprudence, how people should behave with one another, and how to judge justly. Begin daraisa te'mitira mikol sitrai. Then the Torah will be guarded from all sides. The shalom will allow for the gvura to exist. Less alma miskaima ela al dina. The world cannot exist except with just judgment. Dilmale dina, without just judgment, like miskaima. Or begin kach oma bedina isperei v'iskayim. The world with din is created, like it says, Bereshit bara lekim, and therefore it is upheld. Tani Rabba, ksiv dinu laboiker mishpat. Judge in the morning justice. Now that is a little bit funny. We only need in the morning justice. We don't need it in the afternoon. We don't need it in the night. Only in the morning, not the rest of the day. What it means is, it means that you judge first before the dayan eats. Before they eat and before they drink. In other words, before feeding his face, he should make sure to do the judgment first. The commanded done dina basa the achav l'shasa, whoever does judgment after he eats and drinks, lav daina d'kshaitu. That's not a truthful judge. D'chsiv lo yisoichlu al adam. You shouldn't eat when you're presiding over blood. Now, a person's money is his blood because he gives. That's why it's called his livelihood. He gives his life for his livelihood. My al adam. This is a judgment to the judges. This is a warning to the judges. The lo yechlon, they shouldn't eat at the daine dina until they make their judgment. The kol man the don dina basad achav l'shasei. Whoever judges after he eats and drinks, ki'ilu chayiv dama dechavrei la'achra. It's as if he gives illegally the blood, namely the money of his friend, to someone else. Da dame mamish yav la'achra, because it's his very blood, because he gives of his blood of his life to make the money. Now, this is true of money, and surely if it's a capital case, the judge has to be careful that he shouldn't adjudicate before he eats and drinks. But make sure to do it in the morning before you eat. I am Hashem who does kindness and justice and righteousness in the earth. In judging righteously is what I desire. No, Hashem, says Hashem. Now the Musar over here tells us a big novelty. We know that the she-demon, Ashmedai is the king of the demons amongst the male, and the she-demon is Lilius. Now the Musar reveals to us that the special attack and influence of Lilius is to make people have atzvus, sadness. And that's why Lilius is from the Lashon of Yalala, to wail. The person should be careful from being sad and groaning. Sadness and groaning, garmin lihitame, causes a person to become tame. Kihi midas ploinus kishma. This is the name. They don't like to say her name. This is the measure of what's her name. Ubiyase typhus umnasa, and if a person seizes her way, noisin yad la soispa tavasa, he gives her the strength to do with him what she wants. Since he is in sync with her way. And besides the fact that the midah of sadness is very bad, it causes bittul taira, tefillah, and people don't got a minyan, it confounds the mind. Marba atzlas, and it causes laziness, Melakayim mitzvahs, the Talmud Torah, from upholding mitzvahs and Talmud Torah. Mizem nimshach machloikis bebeisai, and this causes arguments in the house, aloi davar, even though there really isn't anything to argue about. V'yiyeh sonui u'mesuv, and it causes him to be hated and abominable. Oiba, furthermore, when somebody is sad, it causes the Shekhinah to depart from him and from inside of him. Why? Because the Shekhinah nikras simcha. We know the Shekhinah is not shayra ba'atzvus. Ki Shekhinah nikras simcha. The Shekhinah is called simcha. V'adam zeh. This person, Haman, that's bitter, Rav Anocha, with a lot of groaning, is not going to be bereft of the Shekhinah. Not only this, he cleaves to plainness. This is her way. She contaminates him. He becomes her portion. The similar davar, Etzev, one who is sad, Mazvia Zera, will see nocturnal pollution, will see seed. L'chein ata ben Adam, you son of man, shamarta beficha v'vavcha lasais tikkun hayesod. You want to work on the tikkun of the bris kodesh and to stay away from being moitzi zera. Have ra me'alecha. Remove this evil of sadness. V'tia sameach tamid, and work to always be in a spirit of happiness. Ulai siska, perhaps you will merit shebiyoisko sameach simcha shel mitzvah, when you rejoice in the simcha of mitzvah. Tidbak b'shchina nikras simcha, you will merit, we will merit to cleave with the shchina that's called simcha. B'yata bali dechet, and you won't come to sin, and you will know v'yadata ki shalom alecha, you will know that there's peace in your tent. And finally, we learn the Rambam again in Hilchas Kriya Shema. The Rambam tells us haKoreh Shema, if somebody says Shema but like kiba and libay b'pasuk harishin, and he doesn't have kavanah in the first pasuk, Shu Shema Yisrael, in other words, he doesn't think Shema Yisrael, listen Yisrael, Hashem, who is Adon HaKol, who hoyev yeh Elokeinu, is our God, Takef Balei Chos Kulei, Hashem, who is Adon HaKol, who hoyev yeh is Echad, he's one and only in the seven heavens and the word one earth, four directions, he's unique, nothing exists independent from him. Lo Yotzi Yedei Chavas, he doesn't fulfill his requirement. Vashar, but the rest of Kriya Shema, like Kiven Libay, if he doesn't concentrate, Yatza, B'diavad he's Yatza. And not only that, not only if he doesn't think what it means, even if he didn't think to fulfill the mitzvah with the rest of Kriya Shema, even if it was just laning from the Eschanan, or he was correcting Parshias, and he was saying it while he was correcting, so he didn't even have a mind to fulfill the mitzvah. Yatza v'hu shekiven liba b'pasuk harishin, if he had kavanah in the first pasuk. Kol adam karin kedarkan, a person could say Kriya Shema however he is, in whatever way he is doing at the time. Bein aimdim, whether he's standing, bein malchim, whether he's walking, bein sheichvim, whether he's lying down, bein reichvim al gabi behema, or he's riding on an animal. However, v'asa l'Kriya Shema b'mutal upon of tuchas b'karka, he can't say Kriya Shema while he's lying in the stomach with his face to the ground, or mushal chal gaba upon of lamala, or lying on his back. Aval kaire, what does it mean he could do it laying down? Aval kaire v'sheikav al tzidai, he could say Kriya Shema lying on his side. B'ma yabal basar arba, if he's very heavy, v'eni yachalis apechal tzidai, he can't lie on his side. Oisha yachayla, or he's ill, you could turn a little bit to the side, and that's enough to say Kriya Shema. If someone is walking, then he should stop for the first pasuk. He should stop for the first pasuk and say Shema while he's standing and concentrating. But the rest, he could say while he's walking. Let's say he's sleeping, and it comes the time of his man Kriya Shema at the end of the third hour. Mitzarin, I say, we wake him up and we shake him at Yikra pasuk rishon until he says the first pasuk of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, From then on, im anas shena, if he was up very late and he can't keep his eyes open, we don't aggravate him to get up and say the rest, as long as he already said the first pasuk. We want to thank you all very, very much for joining us and wish you a wonderful day.